Alright, we're going to start out today by changing the cord on the Emerson EC425. This is the end of the current line cord. You can see at the well, it probably work okay, but it's really not too healthy. So we're going to change it to a polarized plug type cord, brand new, like this. And you see there's actually one leg that's a little bit wider than the other. Now the reason why we're going to put this on there is that we want to make the radio safe as possible. Now since this doesn't have a transformer, what you used to do is in the old days you could plug these things in with this style plug the wrong way. If you plugged it in one way, it would make the radio play, but it might be a little bit more susceptible to atmospheric static and other noises. But if you flip the cord around, it would actually play a little bit better and with less noise. But that's not why we're changing it. We're changing it because by using the modern cord like we have here, and provided that if you have a US circuit similar to this one here like I have in my shop, and of course if it's wired properly, it'll make the radio safe. So let me explain and show you a little bit more. Okay, now here's the chassis again flipped upside down. We've got our new caps, and we had this one little 470 k ohm resistor we needed to replace. But now I'm focusing on this line cord. Now I see one side of the cord is going to the switch on the back of the volume control, which is correct. The other side is going to the 35Z5 rectifier tube. Now basically what we're trying to objectively do is that we want the chassis to be on the neutral side. Now if we go back here for a quick second, let me flip over here. Here's the outlet again. You've got three slots here. You've got a wide slot here, a narrow slot here, and then you've got kind of like a half round slot here. Now what all this means is this: this is your hot leg, is the smaller leg here. The larger leg next to that is the neutral, and then this is the ground. Now since we don't have a ground connection on the polarized line cord, so how do you know how to ground a radio? Well, ultimately what we're going to do is that this fat leg right here that would go into neutral, all these wires go back to the electrical box in your home, at least it does in the US, and basically the neutrals and the grounds are ultimately connected together anyway. So we're going to use that or establish that as the ground, and we want to figure out where that's going to be in the radio. So let me show you how that works. Okay, now we're back on the chassis. Hopefully everybody can see that okay. Now what I'm going to do is I'm going to take one leg of my meter, and I've got my meter right now set on the alarm if there's a short. So what I'm going to do is I'm just going to take one leg of this and just hold it up against the chassis. And what I want to do is I want to find out if it's this leg or this leg. It's going to be the ground for the radio. Oh, it's saying I got a ground there and not there. Alrighty. So apparently I'm touching the back of the switch, and now I'm touching the 35Z5. So apparently the connection that's on the back of the switch is also this ground for the chassis. So that's where we want to have connect the big leg, or the fat leg of the wide leg of the polarized line cord. Okay, we're going to start by just we're going to remove the old cord first, but we're just going to leave the legs soldered up for now, and we're just going to cut this. And then eventually we'll dress it up and do it right. But if you remember me saying I also want to add a fuse to this. Now, for you purists out there, or you folks that do radios a lot, you don't really need a fuse. But I just want to put one in there only because is that this radio It's going to be around some small children, mainly guys, boys, and they like to get into things. So just in case, now I'm sure that the parents will keep the radio away from them, at least till you get a little bit older. But I want to add this fuse anyway, just for a little added means of security. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to put a fuse on this leg here, on one side of this wire, and then the other side of the fuse we'll just put onto the new cord. Okay, we've got our new polarized line cord installed, and here is the fuse. Now what I usually do is I solder I like to do this to transformer sets. Like this is still, like I said, this is overkill, but there's going to be a number of small children in the house, so I wanted to just put a little added measure of safety on here. This is a 1 amp fuse, just a regular old 1 amp fuse, and then I put shrink wrap around it to insulate it from, because there is power going through this thing. And I also wrote the word fuse on it, so if the fuse were ever to go bad and a service person were to go in here and see what was wrong, then they can see that the fuse has been added. I wrote the word fuse on it, so there you go. So the radio will be a little bit safer when it's in its operating form now. Alrighty, next is we're going to do an alignment on the radio now. Basically, if you have a already working AA5 set, there's two ways that you could do this. This is the actual instructions from Emerson on their schematic on what to do, and basically on the IF and the RF alignment. But I've also done kind of my my usual way, and that is as long as I have as long as that the radio scales all the way across the dial okay, and I'm picking up stations rather well, I usually just tweak the 4 IF screws on top of it. It says here, oh, there goes, read it. You have the 4 IF trimmers on top of the 2 IF cans, and I usually tweak them out to get the best, you know, the most volume. And it just says right here, you want to, I already did this too, swing the variable condenser to the minimum capacity position. So I usually bring that on down to the low end of the scale, or somewhere around 540 kc. And I took my signal generator and I fed 455 kc through the grid of the 12SA7 tube through a 0.01 microfarad condenser, and then adjust the 4 IF trimmer. I did that too, and basically it all pretty much comes out the same. So the IF alignment went well, and then the RF alignment says set the dial pointer around 1400 kc, and then you want to do the same thing with a signal generator. What they're asking you to do is to make like a loop antenna. And basically all I did was I just maxed out the RF output on the generator just with the single clip lead wire, and that was enough. And then I was able to basically get the max output for both the 1400 kc alignment, and then there's a note here that says if the loop antenna, let me get this down a little bit. If the loop antenna was replaced, it may be necessary to adjust the loop inductance, but that wasn't done, so we don't have to really worry about that. So basically the radio is now aligned, and actually I was playing around with it a little bit. It's actually pretty good for a 5-tube radio now. Okay, last but not least, I didn't want to bore you with my carpentry skills, but I have a piece of masonite that I purchased about 15 years ago at one of the local home improvement centers. I've used it for various things. I still have quite a bit of it, but it's perfect for making backs for a radio. If you got a missing radio, a missing back for a radio, there are people out there that make them in repop, and that's fine. But if you have an absolutely perfect radio, that's where you want to go. But this radio is going to be used, and it's got some patina, and it's going to have some small children around it too. So I want the radio to vent, but I don't, want any fingers or anything like that getting in there either. So I just have to put that in the back of the radio. Oh, it's actually this color. But I just painted it satin black in the back. So I just figured I'd just do that. Well, boys and girls, this is the finished item. It's all done. So I think the new owner will be happy. Best part is that I think since it belonged to the owner's mother, and Mother's Day is Sunday, I think this actually is going to be kind of cool. So hey gang, thanks for watching, and remember, listen, Mother's Day is Sunday. Remember to take care of your mother. She brought you into this world. So make sure you take care of her. I want to thank all the mothers out there who watch my channel, by the way. I get to see you watches my channel all over the world. So hey, everybody, take care. Bye.
Lead it 7-0.
Mets have already homered 4 times in a game, 4 times this season, as the Mets, with the 4 home runs in this game, now have 40 on the year. And for each home run the Mets hit in 2016, New York